Hi, this is Doug Daugherty with Hamilton Flourishing, and we're continuing our interviews with people who are running in what I consider the most important political races in Hamilton County, and that is the Hamilton County School Board. Today, we're talking to Patrick Lee. Patrick is running in District 10 up in the Ooltewah area, and he'll explain that in just a bit. He's one of three Republicans running in the primary. The primary election is May 3rd. A plurality, not a majority, wins in the primary. So, and then there's one Democrat who will be running in the general election, which is in August for the District 10 school board seat. So why do I think it's the most important election in the city or the county? Several reasons. One, they're responsible for 45,000 students, K through 12. Two, they have a budget that's basically 2/3 of the county taxes. That includes about $500 million, almost $500 million if you count the bonds. They are one of the largest employers in the Hamilton County. Employees are waiting for their graduates to hire, and that's a big deal for the economic health of the community. And these children, their dreams are all tied up in the way they are educated and nurtured at home and elsewhere. So it's a big deal. And the schools do face some challenges. It's a monstrous sort of thing to manage. But the school board, like any board, is the governing body of the school. And so we're going to talk to Patrick, and Patrick is from District 10. Patrick, good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Patrick, tell us a little about yourself. Are you a native Chattanoogan?
Not actually. Was born in Miami. My father was from here, and he was in the military, so I lived with my grandparents down there up until about 6 or 7 years old, and then he got out of the military. We moved up here, and I've been here ever since. Except for I did have a short stint out in Utah for about 12 years, but I came back.
Yeah. Have you got kids?
I have one son. He's deceased. I have two stepchildren. They're grown. And then I have two custodial children. They're teenage girls. They're 14 and 16, and they do attend Hamilton County schools.
Yeah. So you got a couple you're in charge of that are in the school system.
Correct, right now.
Yeah. What grades?
That's why we're here.
What grades are they in?
8th and 9th.
8th and 9th. And what's your background? I mean, are you what do you do for a living? What's your vocation?
Well, I have a small business. We actually sell and repair and service outdoor power equipment. Anything from gasoline, battery, robotic. We're selling a lot of robotic stuff now, a lot of battery stuff now, as you can imagine. But I have my degree is actually in communications and journalism, even though that's not what I'm doing. But for years, I did marketing. I was a product manager and in product development for a couple software companies. That's why I was in Utah. And I'm more of a serial entrepreneur in that I have a handful of small businesses. One of them was actually a wholesale bakery where I actually developed a whole product line. I actually started selling little corn tortillas to Mexican restaurants and Mexican grocery stores, and expanded it onto with breads, rolls, cookies, hamburger, hot dog buns, everything like that, and went into Walmart, Albertsons, Costco, Sam's, all these big retailers for groceries.
That's pretty impressive. So tell the folks that are watching, Patrick, where is District 10? What actually parts of the county is it?
I don't know that I can explain it without a map.
Well, what areas of the county is it? We mentioned Ooltewah. What other areas?
It goes up to Bradley County on the northeast end, up there near Main Gap Road, down Ooltewah, Georgetown. on this side of Highway 58, the east side of Highway 58. And it comes down here actually to where our shop is. We're right, the line is right here at our shop, right here, Stanford Gap Road. And then it's got a little jog that goes up into over by the freeway up to 153 and then back down Lee Highway. So it's kind of, and then, but it cuts out, even though it goes right by, say like Tyner, it does not include Tyner.
Okay. And what schools are in District 10?
I don't know if I can remember all of them, but it's Ooltewah High School, Ooltewah Elementary School, Ooltewah Middle School, there's Wolf Teever, it's not Appison. So I think that's about all the ones I've got. I'm not getting any. I don't have very many schools in my district really, but there's a lot of people though.
Well, hopefully they're all getting a good education. All right, well, that's District 10, and the election is May 3rd. Early voting has already started for the primary, and then the general election will be in August. We're asking the same 5 questions to everybody who's running for school board. And the first one is, Patrick, why are you qualified to serve on the Hamilton County School Board?
Well, I did go to Ooltewah Elementary School. I went to Ooltewah Middle School. I went to Ooltewah High School. Went to UTC. Graduated from UTC. And so I'm familiar with the area, actually the school system and everything like that. Personally, from my perspective. And then of course I've got a couple girls in the system right now. And I've had a lot of experience with people with disabilities. For 10 years, actually, I was a caregiver for a friend of mine who had cerebral palsy, and I'd take him out a couple times a week. We'd go out to eat. We'd go shopping or whatever, and then bring him back and shower him and put him in bed and everything like that. And for a little bit there, I got into, we were doing wheelchair lifts and ramps. I mean, I actually modified vehicles and homes for people with physical disabilities. And I think that that's one of the perspectives that I have, because there's several students that have physical disabilities, and a lot of people I don't think understand a lot of what they go through, and they don't really have a perspective on that. Also, my son, he was deaf, and he went to White Oak and went through the program up there when he was younger. And so I have had children in the special programs they do offer. I'm sure they're quite different now, of course, than what they used to be. But my small business background, where I've signed both sides of the check, I employ people, I collect taxes for the county and the state. I pay, taxes on my commercial property, on my residential property. And I know what it's like to run a business, and basically the school system is nothing but a big business. And the size of a business, main difference in the size of business is the number of zeros, at the end of each number. And even though there's more zeros in the school board, or school system, as far as money wise, than what I get going on my small business, they basically run very similarly. Out through my career being like a product manager in IT and for software companies, I think I have a perspective on what it's like to deal with technology and getting a job, placement in technology. And with what I do right now, which we employ people, we train people to do vocational type of things, as far as repairing machinery. And I think, not a lot of people, especially if they just, have worked someplace, don't necessarily get to see every aspect of that, because not only have I run these businesses, but I've developed a lot of the products, and then I had to come up with funding, and I have to make sure everything goes day by day. And when there's nobody else to take care of it, it all comes and falls on me, and it's got to get done. And I think that that's what it takes, is that type of person we need that type of person on the school board to make sure that a lot of these policies and are, not only being created, but also being implemented and followed through with by the principals, the teachers, whomever. And I think that's why I'd be qualified, because I do have a lot of experience in a lot of aspects that fit real well with the job.
Well, good answer. Second question, from the 30,000-foot level, not just your district, but you're a student, I'm guessing, of the school system, or you wouldn't be running for school board, I wouldn't think. What do you think of the big challenges that face Hamilton County schools as a whole? What do you think are the parts that, not the parts, but what are the big challenges facing the school system?
I tell you, when, of course, one of the things that, the COVID situation brought a lot of things to light, and that's kind of what caught my attention. And we got custody of these girls, and we were trying to catch them up, on all their schoolwork so they could, advance to the next grade level. And just the things that I was saying that were going on, I was just like, there's something not right here. There's just a bunch of red flags. And then, so I just started checking on some things going on in the school system. And then once you dig deeper and deeper, you see not only the way I feel like the way COVID was handled, but just the way I think things have just been kind of running, not necessarily in the best interest of students or teachers or, education in general. And I think that some people need to step up. And I thought, well, I'm sitting here saying that people need to step up, and I guess I need to step up instead of waiting for somebody else to do it.
All right, good answer. Now, dropping back a little bit to the granular level, you've got several schools in your district. A lot of people will be voting for you. What would be your priorities if you were elected to the school board?
Well, to be honest with you, one of my priorities, but I thought was going to be budget, and I really wanted to dig in there. And I did have the opportunity to meet with some commissioners and look at some of the budget. And there's definitely a lot of issues in the budget, but then there's a lot of parents out there that brought so much attention to things like bullying, some reading materials that are available in the libraries and the schools. Just a whole lot of things in general that I think that I'm gonna have to step back and kind of help take care of some of these other things with these people. There's a lot of people working real hard to, on some of these other subjects and matters that I might have to just wait on the budget, because the budget is just so huge. It's gonna take a long time to make any changes in the budget, but that's where I would like to go.
Yeah, good answer. Now, we've talked about the big picture. We've talked about your priorities. We've talked a little bit about your background. The school board really has three main priorities. Number one is to hire and fire, if needed, the superintendent. So you're the board, you govern. You hire this guy or lady to run the system, and he's sort of like the executive director. We call him the superintendent. So he kind of runs the show, but he reports back to you all when you speak as a majority. He has to do assuming what you're doing is appropriate or legal. He has to do what you tell him to do. But so one priority is hiring the superintendent. The second priority has to do with the creation of policy, and that kind of comes and goes in spurts. It's hard to predict. We've had all kinds of questions about literacy. We've had questions about books. We've had questions about gender. We've had questions about, over the years about bullying. And, I think one of the last superintendents ended up losing his job over an incident that happened at one of the high schools on a sporting event. And So the policy issues kind of come and go, and they're hard to predict. But one of the things that doesn't go away is the budget. In fact, the school system is meeting now. The school board is discussing the budget. The superintendent has presented them the budget, and it's the biggest management tool that the school really has, that the school board really has. It's the only place you're going to see everything the school does, and you're going to be able to see the cost. And it's a lot of money. It's a complicated budget. It's a big Excel, basically a big Excel spreadsheet with hundreds of lines, and I think it's under 200 pages. But it's a big budget, and as you can imagine. But have you studied the budget, both operational and capital?
I have not had an opportunity to sit down and study it. I have looked over it several times. Like you said, it's a massive document, and there's lots of things in it. The first thing you have to do is decipher through. They have lots and lots of
Code words.
They call like different programs, different teachers, and then maybe the people that oversee those particular programs have all kinds of different titles, and sometimes it's really hard to follow. And when you first look at it, it looks like there's a lot of redundancy and just secretaries and different things they use. You see it over and over and over again, and like, oh my gosh, there's lots of secretaries, lots of this and lots of that, and it seems like it could be consolidated. And I'm not sure. I'm thinking, which I have not had a chance to sit down and discuss this with very many people. Like I said, we've been working on a lot of other things. I've been working with some of the board members on a few other matters, but there's programs that come down from the state and the federal government, and they fund, and I think that probably in some of that funding, they're required to do these things. But I'm not sure. And so it's hard to tell if that needs to be cut or not. So there's a lot of details in there that it's not something you can sit there and do in a few hours or a couple of days. This is a pretty major thing. And it's going to take several people to go through it, and you might have to piecemeal it up and let somebody attack, different areas, and then come together with what you've come up with and come to a better resolution. I think there's going to be a lot of discussion on what state programs, what federal programs we want to keep, or if we can keep them, or we can get rid of them. I personally think there's a lot of them that we would probably be better off handling right here at home instead of having the federal government dictate things to us.
Okay, well, good answer. Thank you for that. The school system gets money from the county, big part. 30% of the state budget goes into public education, K through 12. And then the feds give money, and they've given extra here during this COVID with COVID stimulus money. And so you all seem to be, or if you are on the board, you would be really having a lot of cash. But would you support a tax increase for Hamilton County School?
No, I feel like there's no need for a tax increase for many reasons. One, we just had a tax increase when they reassessed the properties. And two, all the property values have gone up, and everything we buy and everything, there's plenty of money flowing through the county for taxes. And I think that if there's an issue with a deficiency in anything that we need to reassess what's being spent. I think we need to look at spending, not generating more taxes.
Okay, great answer. Well, Patrick, it's been great talking to you. Before we go, tell the folks if they want to reach out to you, do you have a website or a Facebook page or a phone number or something?
I don't have a Facebook page. I don't have time to sit down for Facebook, to be honest with you. And especially doing this, it's just it's just not on my side. But I do have an email, and I prefer email because I can sit down there and look through it later in the evening and things like that. If people don't mind, getting a reply the next day or two. But my email is Lee, Lee, Patrick, Patrick, the letter D is in Delta @gmail.com. And they're welcome to send something there.
All right. Well, thank you, Patrick. Can you say that one more time?
That's Lee Patrick D @gmail.com, and the D, Lee Patrick D for Delta @gmail.
Great. Well, Patrick, it's been a delight to talk to you. Thank you so much for spending the time with us, and wish you well. Hope everything goes well for you, and we'll see you on May 3rd, probably.
Well, I appreciate it. And I know this is a short interview. We don't even come close to scratching the surface of all the things that need to be done and discussed. But I do appreciate your time and bringing it to the attention of people.
Great. Well, thank you, Patrick. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.